That too. It's like, yeah, it's been since Friday. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown Strategy Show. I am stoked for this game. And don't look at me like that, Spags. This is one of those games where I feel pretty good about like the direction, which means there is no other outcome than me just being flat out wrong. And the Buffalo Bills steamrolling the Houston Texans in Houston, because I look at this game and I'm like, well, it's a short week. Houston at home, great defense. The Bills have played down in a lot of these spots this year. You know, like prime time against Atlanta. Bills coming off a bye. They get smoked. Prime time against the Patriots in the divisional spot. They lose. They lose to the Dolphins a couple weeks ago, coming off a big game. Just an insanely anomalous performance by Josh Allen. Not to say he can't do stuff like that, but quarterback shouldn't be able to do what he did. And it does feel like the Texans are uniquely equipped to compete in a game like this, but it could. The thing I see, Spags, I'm kind of just jumping into it here. Good morning, everybody. Is if the Texans go down early, Davis Mills throws a pick six, and then that Shavers character ends up catching a 50-yard touchdown, and they're down 14-0. It's over. It's a wrap. But there's also another world, and one that I actually think is, I don't want to say likely, but very, very possible, is that the defense is just good enough to keep this game competitive. And they say, we don't want Davis Mills throwing another 40 times. Let's just try to run the ball as much as we can against a highly inferior run defense.
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. I mean, look, for me, this matchup on paper, I'm kind of confused by the total being as high as it is for Buffalo. This Texans defense has been like the best pass defense in football. Negative 0.2 EPA per drop back, negative 0.22 EPA per pass. I color code everything in my sheet, which basically tells me, quick reference point, who's really good at something, who's really bad at something, defensively, offensively, all that. I have all red, which means like the Houston defense is particularly strong, low catchable ball rate, again, low efficiency stats going against them. I wish the dog would not climb on me while doing it. My wife and child are at the gym daycare today. And so the dog has to be in the studio with me, and she just needs to always fucking do this shit. Cute dog, though. There you go. There's the face.
There she is. Look at her.
The Texans defense is really good. It's so much Josh Allen ownership too. 34% expected ownership. You're coming off a game where he put up 40 fantasy points. Like, I think this spot to me feels like a Josh Allen letdown spot. And the stuff you mentioned too, Buffalo not showing up in some of these matchups before, the fact that Houston's defense, I think, is a little bit slept on. Maybe that makes it compelling stuff to play against that Josh Allen ownership. But my God, opening the ownership and seeing 35% expected ownership at captain for Josh Allen, it's like people are going to play this one particular way. And maybe that makes it fun, is to not play it that Josh Allen ass kicking against a Texas defense that seems like it should be ready to go. I think that's one way to perhaps play it to get unique right away.
Me too. I mean, look, Josh Allen's Josh Allen, right? But at the same time, this is a really good, you just routed off all of those numbers. They're one of only two teams that has as many interceptions as passing touchdowns allowed this year. Like, going into last week, this team had more interceptions than passing touchdowns allowed, which is nuts. And for what it's worth, they've only allowed 10 passing touchdowns this season. By the way, do you know how many takeaways the Jets have this year?
It's got to be low. Less than 5. I would say maybe 3.
1.
Oh God, that's brutal.
Dude, they have 0 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. They've allowed 18 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Like, just, I mean, disgraceful. How do you have one? They're averaging 0.1 takeaways per game.
I mean, the Woody Johnson quote a couple of weeks ago when he threw Fields under the bus, and he's like, well, if you have a QB like that, but our defense is good. And it's like, how do you not know your fucking team? Like, I know you're paying money. At that point, we're paying a lot of money to Sauce Gardner. You had Williams there still before they traded him. Like, I get thinking that defense is good, but it kind of shows, a lot of people too, but in particular an owner, like how out of touch you are, where you're not aware that your defense has gone from the strength to an absolute albatross. Whereas the Texans, Texans might be the best defense in football based on a lot of the stats, not the run defense, but the pass defense.
I think they are. Really strong. I think they are. And then it's not like they have a bad run defense, though.
No, I mean, no, it's not bad. Negative VPA per rush, negative VPA per rush in the red zone as well. I don't think it's as much of a strength. I mean, and they're definitely much better than Buffalo's run defense. It's like actively bad. You saw what Sean Tucker did to them last week, and I think Rashad White could have done the same. Bucky Irving, I would have loved to have seen him do the same for the sake of my best ball shares. But yeah, Houston's defense overall pretty good. The pass defense, though, is like, to me at least, grades out like a buzzsaw. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's what I really think that's what makes this game fascinating. Is they also have a really good pass rush as well. Like Houston has a sick pass rush too. So when you couple, and by the way, Jalen Petrie is out, which doesn't help them because he's good, but still you have a shutdown guy like Stingley. You have a lot of these other guys in the defensive backfield, and then you've got like Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. They have a really good team on defense. So I think there is a way where if they can slow down Josh Allen, you see more work on the ground, and not just for Woody Marks, but also for Nick Chubb. I mean, I think this could be one of those games where Nick Chubb actually gets some work. I bet the over on Woody Marks at 56.5 on Monday. Threw that one up on Tails. It's at 65, 66.5 now. So I'd probably recommend staying away from that. But I actually just bet the over 21.5 rushing yards for Nick Chubb today, because look, if this all gets away from him early, it won't matter. My bets probably just lose. But Spags, they don't want Davis Mills throwing 40 plus times again. I mean, he's thrown 40 plus times in each of those two games. They won. They escaped with a win last week. They did not show up against that Titans team. They didn't show up. They got not lucky, but like they skated through that one and won at the end. But then you saw that big come from behind win against Jacksonville and Houston. That's the first time they've allowed more than 19 points at home this year as well. So I don't know. They average like 16 points per game allowed at home. Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but I keep going back to this, and maybe you can help me, kind of figure this out, because it is a showdown slate. We're still going to have to play some Josh Allen, obviously, and we're going to have to play some of his pass catchers. But, Khalil Shakir's fine, but he's just the furthest thing from an alpha receiver that you can lean on in these specific types of games. He's fine. But then you're talking about like no Dalton Kincaid, so Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis, Terrell Shavers. This is what your Dawson Knox. These are your options today against arguably the best secondary and top 3 pass rush in the league.
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, last week I really thought, and I think I said it on content, that felt like Josh Allen, I thought there should be a little bit higher than it was for him, but I thought it would be higher because the fact you took Kincaid off the field, the fact you had Keon Coleman suspended for that game. I thought that it was going to be, or I guess not suspended, but inactive for the game. I thought Khalil Shakir would be the obvious plug and play that people put in with Josh Allen. They'd be stoked to finally, solve the stacking options there. Because
me too.
Yeah, it happens every week where people want to play Drake May. They want to play Josh Allen. It's like, who do you go with? Because the options seem to vary different every week to week, depending upon who's going to hit for that top stack option. For Buffalo, getting those guys out, you thought Shakir would be good. And he puts up one fantasy point. He had negative numbers through a large portion of the game. He just had a child, so maybe he'll be a resurgent new dad here. But I don't think that, Shakir is like this great option, and going against a tough defense kind of seems like the time that you're willing to not play Bills receivers when you have more bodies coming in, Coleman coming back in. Really, they have enough guys at this point that they can throw the ball to, and none of them particularly good besides Shakir. So, and even then, he's really not that good. So it does make for tough stacking options. The matchup too, maybe make people just play Josh Allen and fade the pass catchers. There's probably opportunity going back to Shakir after a dud game where he did seem like your obvious number one receiver for Buffalo. And the matchup too for Tampa Bay, that's like people thought was really soft there. To me, Tampa Bay is like a pretty decent defense, and the Bills results kind of matched that. But for Buffalo here, it's really two teams where for Houston, we know we want to stack Nico Collins being the main option, Higgins, Kirk, Schultz, secondary options there. For Buffalo, I think people just end up playing a lot of naked Josh Allen, and if they play a receiver, it's going to be Shakir. And if you hit on Coleman, if you hit on Josh Palmer, if you hit on even Dawson Knox, you're probably be less zoned than you would be because people just probably aren't going to want to play those guys.
Well, all right. Let me ask you this then: does Gabe Davis stay on the practice squad today?
Hard
the reason I ask you this is because Like, I honestly think Gabe Davis is probably more of a net positive than Keon Coleman for the Bills right now. Like, he has experience in the offense. He has some rapport with Josh Allen. I was honestly like surprised that, no, I guess not surprised that they reverted him, because you still have to see what you have in Keon Coleman. But Keon Coleman, man, outside of a couple games early in the year, he's been, dude, I don't know. Like, it feels like Gabe Davis is, if they brought him up, I would rather play Gabe Davis than some of these other guys in the offense, because they've proven all season long that they've been incapable of putting up decent fantasy scores. Like Palmer.
Yeah, Palmer's a disappointment, man. I thought that he'd be better given the fact that he was kind of a Swiss Army knife for the Chargers. Whenever you had, Keenan Allen or a Mike Williams down, he would come in, play outside, play the slot.
He's done nothing this year. Nothing.
No, he's been useless. I took him a good amount in best ball because I'm like, I think he can maybe be more reliable than Keon Coleman, and nope. For Gabe Davis, I will say there's some positive underlying signs. He only played 23 snaps last week, which is less than Shavers, less than Shakir, less than the tight ends, less than pretty much anybody else who played receiver for them. He did get targeted 29% of the time running a route, which is a lot of targets given the fact that there's a team where nobody on the team is really above a 20% target per route run rate. I think Kincaid might be, but he's not playing. So Gabe Davis got meaningful targets, left last week's game with 4 targets, 3 catches. He looked kind of like dust previously, but 0.55 EPA per target for the one game he's had for Buffalo. This kind of looks like old Gabe Davis. I think what it comes down to is, can he take the snaps away from Keon Coleman? Can he take them away from Shavers? I mean, Shavers had the big game last week. Keon Coleman, they claim, had like a monster week of practice, even though he missed that meeting, and they wanted to play him and get him going, and then they didn't because he missed the meeting.
It looks like he's not going to play again this week. It looks like, and
Really?
Chat mentioned it, I pulled it up. It certainly appears that, and I haven't found a true source on this, like nothing fully confirmed, but it's looking like Keon Coleman is not going to be out there again tonight.
Because that was weird that the way that it broke, the previous Keon Coleman benching broke, or whatever, inactive thing broke, was that, it came from like a handle I'd never heard of before. It was like some Bills local thing. Mm-hmm, I've not seen anything about Keon Coleman not playing, but I would like to see confirmation from like an Ian Rappaport on that before I'd like make that a DFS decision, I think.
Yeah. I don't know though. Why would people say, like, why would you be getting these reports? I'm seeing people with, 80, 100,000 followers. But let me see here. Like Sleeper NFL has it, and it's per Eric Turner, who is founder of Cover One, host of the Film Room. So I don't know. Like it appears that this may actually be the case.
Oh, it's the same guy. So it's Eric Turner, who was the Cover One guy who got it right the first time. So it's the same guy saying it again.
Yeah. So here you go. Like Bill's playing the bench, Keon Coleman again on third. I wonder what he did. The hell did he do?
I mean, he missed. They said he missed the Friday meeting, and that was the first thing. The team also, like one of the offensive linemen, I think, had a quote after the game or after last week's game where they were like, "Yeah, like we're not going to coddle him anymore." It was basically the summation of it that, he needs to take this stuff seriously. And I assume that's one of those things where like, oh, he's take it seriously. So like he shows up, has a good week of practice here, he gets back out there. He's always seemed like kind of an idiot. Like that's they're all every football player is, I'm sure, and most football players to some extent are. But he seems like particularly not the sharpest guys. So maybe he didn't respond the way they wanted to that, and they're benching him again.
I say it all the time, man. Those type of guys are super endearing until they're not good. Like, remember he came into the league and everyone's like, yo, look at this guy. He's great. They were coolest press conference ever for a rookie. And it's like, yeah, okay. But let's see how it translates. Like Xavier Legette talking about, eating roadkill skunk is funny and all until you have to play. And to be fair, he's actually had a couple decent games this year. He stays quiet though. Like that's Xavier Legette's cool. I like Xavier Legette for what it's worth. Like he's not out there trying to make noise. It's just, he's an interesting character. But Keon Coleman comes up to the podium and he's doing all this, stuff similar to Jameis, right? Like Jameis, super endearing to a fan base when you come in that big win in the Snow Globe game on primetime against the Steelers last year, and you're all saying all this stuff and doing snow angel. Oh, I love the snow. until you start losing football games. And then it's like, all right, dude, I've had enough of your theatrics. The eccentricities can leave themselves behind and we want you off the foot. That's just how the game works.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, yeah, the same thing about Coleman. I think it was he didn't know how to buy a coat or something. I think was the bit last year. He's like, oh, I got to buy a coat, but I don't know how to buy one. It's like, well, I guess that wears thin when you're not showing up to meetings and not making plays or anything either. But yeah, like he really hasn't been getting separation. I thought that really the way that he would win this year is being their reliable red zone target. That hasn't really materialized for Keon Coleman either. He is still getting, some work in the red zone, 0.6 red zone targets a game, 1.3 deep targets a game. I don't think he's been as bad, frankly, as like people bury him for. He hasn't connected well on deep balls. Again, 1.3 throws at 20 plus air yards from a game, negative 0.2 EPA on those plays. 22% target rate, not inefficient at a 0.16 EPA per target. I've gone from now thinking he's an idiot to like defending Keon Coleman. I don't think it's fair he's getting buried here like he is.
No, I know. And the thing is, you're right, because I'm just speculating on literally everything. I have no clue what actually happened. But we're about to find out. You get benched for back-to-back games, and you're a team that is, actively in the hunt. That's a problem. But it does honestly bring me, and yes, in case you guys were wondering, we're breaking down all these Buffalo pass catchers first. All right. I actually think it's one of the most important parts of this slate. It is, in fact. You have to. We just kind of naturally got led in that direction, which is fine. But I don't know, Spags. I think Gabe Davis is probably someone I assume they bring him back up. I don't see how they don't. Curtis Samuel's out, so you had Curtis Samuel play 50% of snaps last week. And Gabe Davis played 41%. He converted a fourth down on like their second drive of the game and then was targeted in the end zone on first down by Josh Allen. He clearly is not afraid to go back to him a little bit at all. They spread the ball around a lot, but yeah, if Coleman's not going to play, and this is all, again, we don't have confirmation, but this is the assumption right now. You've got Shakir, you've got Shavers, you have Palmer, and then Gabe Davis. Mecole Hardman's not even out there today. So I assume Davis comes back up, and at that price point, I'm going to play some of them.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, look, the underlying numbers look good for Gabe Davis. I think the fact, too, that you had the big box score day for Terrell Shavers, he probably gets a little bit overplayed for people chasing that. I think the most appealing thing to me is just going back to Shakir, hoping you can get that right, because the price tag with how poorly he played last week as sort of the assumed, number one option, I think that's still, to me, like, flop flag from that being bad. You go back to Khalil Shakir. I think that's still the most appealing option. But I think Gabe Davis, the fact that he had good underlying work and the fact that he didn't spike like Shavers did, I do think that makes him kind of appealing. 3,800 feels like a fair price tag. And if Coleman isn't active, the projection is going to come up. So I just wonder how much the ownership gets for these guys. Like, because Coleman being out, I think will make a little bit of excitement to pay for $4,200 Gabe Davis, $3,800 or $4,200 Josh Palmer, $3,800 Gabe Davis. Shavers, I don't have the price tag in front of me, but I presume he's cheaper than those guys. Might get a little bit overowned now, which is weird. A weird dynamic given the tough matchup and all that stuff we talked about.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about, and you mostly hit on it. But let's just assume that Coleman doesn't play, and Shavers is cheaper than Gabe Davis. This is really just a situational thing for me, right? It's more like if you're just talking from a game theory perspective, Josh Allen, he really doesn't play favorites. You could be like, well, Coleman or Shakir, not really. I mean, I don't have it offhand. Maybe you do, Spags, but I think it'd probably be pretty enlightening if we pull up, and I can actually do it right here. The target share for Buffalo pass catchers this year. I mean, is anybody above 20%? Okay, so Khalil Shakir is 20.9%. Coleman's at 18. Kincaid's at 15. And mind you, Kincaid has missed games. So if Kincaid had played all of those games, I'll bet you it's even flatter than that, right? I bet you they're all in like that 18% range. Gabe Davis had a 13% target share last week. Palmer's at 12. Like there's really nobody, if you assume that everyone was healthy, there's nobody that he has been played favorites with at all this season. So what makes us think, and maybe he will, but what makes us think that because Shavers had 5 targets and 4 receptions for a long touchdown last week, that he just comes out and once again replicates that type of production. Seems actually far more unlikely than anything else.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think too, what stands out the most is that the snap counts were pretty flat. I mean, you had Shakir playing 30, you had Gabe Davis playing 23, you had Josh Palmer playing 28, you had Shavers playing 30. So these guys are all around 30 for the most part. Knox got to 40, so he'll be on the field the most. I think there's some appeal to that, just having the guy who's going to be on the field and has spiked multiple touchdown games in the past without Dalton Kincaid out there. But I think that for Buffalo, really to me, like, and it's not, this is a cop-out answer. Like, I prefer Shakir. I think Shakir is like technically your number one receiver, but these guys are all playing the same amounts. Like, just roll the dice on different combos with them. Hope you can hit on one, be the move. My guess that Shavers ends up a little bit over-owned because it's a Thursday night slate. Casuals play these slates a little bit more and do just kind of check the box scores, see what happens. They'll see Shavers hit. They'll see Gabe Davis maybe got some work, and I think sharp players will go to Gabe Davis a comparable amount to Shavers. But I think that, to me, Josh Palmer was so bad last week, and Shakir was too. I think these guys were so bad that they appeal to me the most because it's like, let's just go to guys that sucked and hope that they kind of level out this week. But based on the underlying numbers, I think Gabe Davis has as credible a case, one game sample size and all that, and only 23 snaps. But like, he got fed a real role here, like 29% target per out run. Like, that's legit.
Yeah. And like I said, if Josh Allen's throwing to him on a 4th down, which he converts, and then gives him an end zone target at like the 3-yard line on 1st down, it means that this isn't like a guy that they just pulled off the street. It's someone that he has significant history with. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be talking about it. And this isn't even just about Gabe Davis. It's about the offense in general. Like, do I want to chase Terrell Shavers? You know what I mean? Do I want to chase Shavers when it could be anybody? Last week, it was Ty Johnson. It was Ty Johnson last week, which I'm shocked that wasn't a showdown slate because that's typically what ends up happening. But yeah, like Ty Johnson had 1 rushing attempt, and then he had 2 targets. 1 reception, however, was a 52-yard touchdown. So Buffalo will spread it out, and I think that's what I plan on doing. I just plan on spreading exposure out to this team. And tell me if you disagree. We still have Keon Coleman in projections, by the way, so that if we get any word on that, we'll definitely remove him and we'll have everything updated. But that's why you're going to see less exposure going to guys like Davis and other receivers for Buffalo. But Spags, if I end up getting like a Buffalo pass catcher that's just popping massively, and I have super, like, if my exposures are skewed heavily towards him, I might tamp it down a little bit and just try and smooth things out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the right move. Like, it's like a dice roll, and DFS is always going to be a dice roll. So like, when you say this, keep in mind that's most things, but there's like a lot of situations where you have a lead targeter for most teams that, stands out. Like, again, you go to the other side of the game, Nico Collins, like, he is your alpha targeter. Your number 2 is Dalton Schultz. Like, it fits in the way that we kind of expect NFL teams to do. The Bills don't fit that criteria. And as we're going through the numbers too, one thing that does stand out, Gabe Davis got a target inside the 10-yard line last week too. So like, they tried to feed him.
That's what I said to you. They were at the 3-yard line, I think, and it was 1st down. And instead of running the ball, Josh Allen rolled out and threw it to Gabe Davis in the end zone. And it was a good pass breakup, but like, it was his first read on 1st and goal.
Yeah, and nobody on this team is really commanding, inside the 10-yard line looks. Like, on the year, Shakir has 0.2 per game. Palmer has 0 on the year, which might mean that he just doesn't qualify. But if Gabe Davis qualifies, I presume that just means that Josh Palmer has none. Dawson Knox has 0.1 per game. I think Kincaid would be a little bit higher, but these guys aren't really getting those targets. Shavers has no red zone targets on the year. So you're talking about Gabe Davis getting targeted a lot for the limited amount of time that he was out there, getting fed a target inside the 10-yard line. In a way that nobody else on the team is getting targeted besides Coleman, who's apparently going to be inactive. I think if you're going to really put me like gun to my head, I'd probably be above the field on Gabe Davis the most relative to price and what it seems like the opportunity is. But I think there's something in Shakir, just like the price tag. You're talking double the price of all these other Bills receivers, and they might be the exact same play in some level.
I mean, look, dude, I boosted Gabe Davis last week, and I forced him up to 10%. I thought that was going to be my ace in the hole. And early on, Spags, I really thought it was. Like, when I saw that 4th down conversion, the end zone target, I was like, ooh, I might be on just because of the history these guys have together. It didn't end up working out, but yeah, I think at the very least, guys, if they bring him up, remember he's still in the practice squad, and we don't know about Coleman, but if they do bring him up, then don't rule out Gabe Davis is all, because there's no Mecole Hardman and there's no Curtis Samuel today. So now you're actually getting even thinner because Dalton Kincaid is also out. All of that plays a significant role. And yeah, so Shavers would still be in play. Shakir would be in play, but don't sleep on a Gabe Davis. Don't sleep on those type of guys because you can't. Anyway, we had a super chat from Ray. Thank you, Ray. $10 super chat. Lavi, took your advice and Ben's have been smarter about picking DFS games. Want a seat in the mini pocket on Sunday night showdown. Nice, man. Congrats. Appreciate the great advice from the Stokastic crew. Thanks. And thanks to you, man. What is the mini? I've seen a couple people mention that. What's the mini pocket?
I know what a hot pocket is. I don't know what a mini pocket is.
Not a hot pocket guy.
I liked hot pockets when I was in college. I would have hot pockets like that. Yeah.
I was more like the ham and cheese hot pockets.
Oh yeah, those are good. Yeah,
those are delicious.
They had a steak one. I feel like that had broccoli in it. That wasn't bad too. And I don't know about frozen hot pocket broccoli.
But now you can go to the grocery stores and adult. Like you want something quick that's frozen. I go and they have these burritos, right? They got like a nice 16 grams of protein, nothing crazy, but it's like the steak, bean, and cheese burritos. You microwave them a minute on each side. As far as hot pockets go, I like to think that I've upgraded slightly into still the frozen food section on those, but better tasting, much better tasting.
It's like Uncrustables would be like if I were in college now, the Uncrustables are kind of expensive for a peanut butter and jelly.
I just make my own peanut butter and jelly.
You can, but it's nice to have them, you do have to thaw them out though. So it is still kind of like
are they big enough that, like, for me, when I make a peanut butter and jelly, I'm loading on the peanut butter. Like I am to the point where you take a bite, it starts just spilling out of the edge of the bread.
Yeah, no, you like a messy mouthful of peanut butter for yourself. I get it. But like, Uncrustables are they're a little bit leaner. I think there was like an article that came out, a bunch of them over the summer. Might have been just PR for Uncrustables. Like apparently football teams run through Uncrustables like groupies. Like they're just eating Uncrustables left and right, and like some teams have 1,000 Uncrustable a week like supplies they go through. So those Rice Krispie treats are apparently like the things that you think are unhealthy, but people who are like high level athletes apparently eat a lot because they're like quick refuels that fit pretty well.
You know who the receiver was that they did a whole like article about this on?
No, I didn't see that.
It was Jalen Hyatt. And he had said that he was
that's a tough ad campaign.
Exactly. That he was crushing Uncrustables to bulk up and stuff. It's like, all right, man. Well, you tried. I take a peanut butter and jelly and I put some like pretzels on there. Oh man.
Oh, you're doing interesting stoner stacks for you. Okay. I feel like, Darius Slayton was probably.
I actually do it after a workout sometimes and then I'll just like crush a protein shake with it. Get all those calories in right then and there. You know what I mean?
Get your glycerin levels back up.
Yeah. Not to say that it's the healthiest way to do it, but listen, man, I'm not going on stage. I could not care less about that. But yeah, so we hit those guys. Any other pass catchers for Buffalo you want to touch on? Because I think it's the biggest part right now.
No, I mean, I think it really comes down to like if you could afford Shakir, still think the projections are going to support him being the best play. I think he's the best play, especially after he didn't spike meaningfully last week. Gabe Davis, compelling, and it's so dumb the way DFS works. So like to me, my brain is like Josh Palmer. He hasn't gone off once. Nobody's going to play him. But that's really it. It's like any of them can go off. Pick your poison, but Gabe Davis looks better than he probably should.
Eric, Gabe Davis anytime touchdown plus 425 seems nice. It's funny you'd mention that because FanDuel has the $2 million touchdown jackpot every Thursday night. And Gabe Davis was one of the first places I looked on that, not thinking that a ton of people were going to want to go to him. He's plus 400 on FanDuel, so the odds aren't as good, but you're playing that for the first or last touchdown. Very interesting spot to me, man. And Spags mentioned it. We both mentioned that he is somebody that over the years, Josh Allen has trusted in the end zone for sure. He just oftentimes does nothing at all, and that's kind of what we do. But anyway, let's dig into this a little bit more, Spags. The run game for Houston, I'm not telling any secrets here. I like Woody Marks. The The pass blocking and the offensive line, I'm not saying it's good for Houston. It's definitely not an asset. Buffalo's is better, and Buffalo has a good pass rush. But over the last month, if you look at the pressure rate against Houston quarterbacks, it has actually been markedly better or lower than over the early stages of the year with that fully retooled offensive line. So do I think it could hurt them? Absolutely. Do I think it's as bad as it was against like Seattle a month and a half ago or whatever that was? No, I really don't. So I'm looking at our captain exposures. Nico Collins is up there, Josh Allen, James Cook. Man, Josh Allen, 25%. I'd probably boost Woody Marks at the captain spot a little bit, just in case this game does play to Houston's defense playing well and them being able to lean on the run game. That would probably be a spot that I'd look to. But the honest answer, there's not a single player that I go, man, I absolutely love him at captain today. I mean, Buffalo's amazing at they're the best team in the league alongside Houston at taking away the big receiving plays, the big passing plays. They have a quality secondary. They have a good pass rush. Houston, very similar in that respect. And then you got Davis Mills throwing him the football. Josh Allen has a very tough matchup. James Cook, I do look at like a captain, but still, it's not an easy spot. I mean, just one of those weird games where I don't say, God, I love these handful of guys at captain, and I want them to be the clear core here, even though I think we'll get forced into that anyway.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by James Cook just because of the fact that I do think Josh Allen is not in a great spot. The fact that he put up, 45 fantasy points last week, I think that gets him chased a little bit more than he would have been anyway, on an island game spot where people love to just lock in your Josh Allen types, your Lamar Jackson types, your Jalen Hurts types historically. I think going to James Cook, which we know does have kind of a push-pull dynamic going against Josh Allen, I think is pretty compelling to put a captain at 11% ownership. I'm with you on Woody Marks too. What stands out is that Woody Marks, and I know the coaches have talked about it, and apparently they had said like, oh, it was, the game flow thing last week. Woody Marks played 60 snaps last week. Nick Chubb played 10, 2 weeks ago, rather. 60 snaps to 10. This past week, 46 for Marks to 18 for Chubb. Yep. It's not great to see Chubb getting more work and Marks coming down a little bit, but I think Marks is your clear number one option here. And it's always funny for me to hear people talk about Woody Marks this year because like the best ball, the fantasy communities are like, Woody Marks, this guy's so great. He's so awesome. He was such a fucking nothing running back at USC, like getting the bare minimum, doing absolutely nothing. Nothing in the data supports that he's actually anything special at all. What he is though is like, he's Joe Mixon. He's a good pass catcher.
He's actually very good in space as a pass catcher.
Yeah, he's missing a ton of tackles as a pass catcher, a 50% avoided tackle rate as a pass catcher, but it's a little bit inflated by some of the big plays he had earlier in the year. Like Woody Marks is one of those players to me that week to week, and he keeps finding a way to be chalky on many slates. I don't think it's when you want to play Woody Marks, but on today's slate, you kind of have to. And I think the upside's pretty big for him. The potential explosive plays are there, even though really in the run game, 7% avoided tackle rate for him. You're talking about him being, he's Derrick Henry. Like he's not making anybody miss, which is a rookie. You should be making the most guys miss. So Woody Marks to me should be completely transparent, not a special play. The Bills' run defense is so bad. They made Sean Tucker look like Barry Sanders last week. And I think he's an okay player, probably a little bit better in terms of how I view him than Woody Marks. But the run defense is that bad. They're not good in the red zone either. So just kind of give you guys the color. Like, I don't think Woody Marks is good. This is a really good Woody Marks spot. And I think, too, you get leverage on Buffalo a little bit there, too, where if Woody Marks hits and he pays off a captain, you've now gotten away from the Buffalo really chalky Josh Allen captain ownership. You've gotten away from James Cook. Like, Allen and Cook combined, going to be about 50% ownership at captain. You get the game script, too, where if Woody Marks is, captain, you're sort of telling a story there that maybe Nico doesn't make it. Maybe the Bills are playing from behind the entire time. Maybe they stall out in offense as they have in some of these national spots. So I think Woody Marks is like the best play this year that Woody Marks has been, despite, him spiking a few times that people will never let go of.
That's actually, Spags, why I threw this up. I threw up a FanDuel boosted same game parlay over on Tails for today. And you can, by the way, guys, instead of manually adding it into your bet slip, just click tail. It'll pull the odds up anywhere you want it. Pull the odds straight up. Click on whatever sportsbook. It'll auto load it into your bet slip. Link down below, tails.bet. Or link to download the app. That's what I would do. Download the app, man. Not everyone's Ben Rasa who doesn't have a single app on his phone. Like most people appreciate doing things with ease of access, right? Simplicity is key in 2025. And yes, this is the way to do it. But the parlay, Spags, was actually Nick Chubb over 21.5 because I had bet Woody Marks earlier in the week. Davis Mills underpassing and Texans alt spread plus 7.5, kind of going to what you're saying in the sense of like, if they run the ball well, there's really no need to go heavy on somebody like Davis Mills. Now, if they fall behind early, it doesn't matter, and we don't sweat this anyway, because 2 of these legs are pretty much dead from the jump. Actually, 3 of them, because Davis Mills probably goes over just because he's playing from behind. But I do like this spot today. Hit Woody Marks earlier in the week. Let me see where it's at now. This is why I turn on notifications if you follow me over there. Hit him at 56.5 on Monday. So
you got some CLV there.
I mean, if you look at it on real books, not like Bet Rivers and Sugar House. No, see, more than CLV, because these are all heavily juiced on these 59.5. So I think the standard line now is like 62, 63. See, like Caesar 64 with juice to the over. It's probably like 62, 63. I probably wouldn't bet it now, but just, that's why I turn on notifications. And if you guys don't mind, Spags, you know how much it would mean to us if these guys went over into the app store and took a second, and maybe today, maybe you're taking a dump at work, right? And you have a couple minutes, like, I'll tail some bets. You know how much it would mean to us if they just hit us with a 5-star review and a rating over on the Tails app?
I mean, you were talking about before the show, you were like, I just really hope people today, it's really serious to me and important that people will actually listen to me and go rate and review. I feel like people haven't been hearing me. And one of the things for me as Laffy's co-host here on some of these shows is I want to support Laffy. I want to see him be happy. I want to see him thriving in the sunlight. A raisin in the sun is what I often refer to Laffy as. I want to see.
Oh, yes, often. Yeah. He texts me that in the morning, actually.
But yeah, go rate if you want to make Laffy happy. Like he smiles easily on camera, but off camera, he's like, I just want these guys to give us some ratings. Really, you kick your feet, you got the hangdog look. You're just gosh, shucks, they're not giving us any ratings. So please do it.
They actually, people have been very generous in doing so. But the more the better, and it would be super helpful. So
you want them to mention you too specifically. You want them to call you out and go, Laffy sent me in this rating.
Yeah. I'm firing one off right now. It's 12 p.m. There's,
I'm taking a dump, and I've got Laffy on the brain. And
yeah. People at the stalls are groaning from the smell, but here I am. That would be great, and I appreciate you guys. We'll never ask you for money. That's the only thing we really ask you for. So thank you. Also, it's just an awesome app with free bets and leaderboard. Like, there's just so much over there. But anyway, Spags. Yeah, we're talking about Woody Marks. I wanted to point out, you mentioned the snap disparity the last 2 weeks. There's more to it than that, because Woody Marks, and I know the offensive coordinator was like, that wasn't the plan. But then later that week on when he was being interviewed on like a radio show, D'Amico Ryan said the rookie tag is off now. And he mentioned Woody Marks by name. Like, hey, these guys are going to have to shoulder a big load. Last week, even though the snap share wasn't as big of a split as we saw, it was also because that was more of a neutral game script than when they were playing from behind against Jacksonville. And the rushing attempt split was actually more significant than it was. Nick Chubb saw 5 rushing attempts against Jacksonville, 3 against Tennessee. Woody Marks saw 14 against Jacksonville and 18 last week. So that was an 18-3 split on attempts last week between Woody Marks and Nick Chubb. So to me, I actually think, as weird as this sounds, I think you could play Nick Chubb and Woody Marks together if the game goes in a specific direction. If it doesn't, your lineup's dead because neither of those guys are getting there. Maybe Marks gets there on receiving work, but if the game gets out of hand, it doesn't matter. If they are able defensively to really, slow down Josh Allen, you might see legitimately like 30 rushing attempts in this game, in which a $3,200 Nick Chubb is not the craziest idea, even in Woody Marks lineups.
Really, all it takes is it being like 3rd and 1. I think you get Chubb in still. Like, I think they like Marks in the red zone if it's like down in distance, you got some room to go. Because then you can show run and pass a little bit more than you can with Chubb. But for and Chubb is still getting targets in the pass game, so that might not even be fair. But I do think if it's like power down, you're still going to get Chubb out there. Buffalo's run defense is not good. Again, in the red zone, they don't stiffen up. That's one of the tells usually of a defense that has some underlying strength. They're a bad run defense between the 20s. They're a bad run defense in the red zone. So really either guy can hit. And I think too, Woody Marks, I can see in the chat, there's some enthusiasm for Woody Marks. Woody Marks is going to pick up some ownership today, and he should, because the matchup is soft. And we just saw, really a 3rd string running back light up Buffalo last week with Sean Tucker. I think for Woody Marks, just the fact you're going to get ownership there, you should play some Nick Chubb just as a lever against that.
Jim, thanks for the super chat. He says, Spags, I have this lineup for DraftKings. Allen at captain. All right, I'm actually going to plug this in so I can visualize it. Or should I just go to the single lineup sim and do it that way? Yeah, you know what, Lafayette? That's a fantastic idea.
It's a great tool.
It's a great tool. And as always, guys, you know how to get it. Use the link in the description. Sign up literally with any of our sportsbook partners and just click claim offer, make a quick deposit, $5 or $10 minimum. That's it. Okay. Onyx is in 40 plus states. You got better, you got sleeper, you got these pick'em sites. If you're in a non-legal betting state, make a deposit, get your bonus bets, get your match deposits, take a screenshot after your first settled bet or a DFS lineup happens, and take the screenshot of that in your welcome email. Send it to us at support@stokastic.com. That is literally all you have to do. That's it. That's it. And you get $130, free month of The Sims. There's no other site that's doing that, saying, oh, all right, we had another Millie winner this week. We have 4 on the season. Now, Spags, 4 on the season. 100,000 last week, a 200K the week before that, another Millie the week before that for BS Golfer. And all of these low stakes players that are able to access these tools now. I mean, seriously, that's how you do it. And you can do it for multiple months. Every single one of these sports books equals an additional month. So I just want to throw that out there for you guys. You use the link in the description and seriously take advantage of that if you've wanted to try the tools and have not done so yet. This is a 10, 15-minute process, and you can get 5 months of it, 8 months if you're on none of those spots. It's awesome. Anyway, Josh Allen at captain. I will plug this in, Spags, if you want to talk through it, but I'm going to plug it in the lineup builder now and pull it up.
I would say right away for a lineup like this, when you have all guys that are like, you have Allen captain as the chalk, you have all guys that are in the rotation. I tend to think those get wildly overduped. Putting Noel in cuts the ownership product a little bit, but I don't know. I really think you got to get a little bit flimsier than that kind of lineup, where you're playing literally everybody that the guys like the field's going to want to play. Besides Nico Collins, playing pretty much everybody the field's going to want to play.
Can you read the lineup off to me real quick? I got Allen and Mills.
Allen, Christian Kirk, Davis Mills, Jalen Noel, Khalil Shakir, Woody Marks.
Okay, let's see. I don't know how Jalen Noel's going to look on this slate, but we're going to plug him in anyway. Woody Marks. All right, and Shakir. So first thing, are we leaving anything on the table? Let's see. Leaving 200. So you got Allen. So you have a 4-2 Houston with Captain Allen and Khalil Shakir. Okay, I pulled it up here, Spags. Might be tough for you guys to see. I'll zoom in a little bit. And then Mills, I mean, I guess you could say triple, but Kirk, no, I don't know. I'll run it on, let's see how this, I'm going to say no, but who knows? It might just be different enough.
It might be a positive ROI, but I think would have a lot of dupes on it, not a high ROI.
All right, 24%. I mean, what I wonder is, because we've talked about, like, number one, what are your thoughts on the pass catchers for Houston today? From Kirk, and we will have live before lock tonight as well. Kirk to Jalen Noel to Higgins to obviously Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz. Like, are any of these guys priorities to you?
I mean, Nico's, I think, a priority as much as I can get in. Sim-wise, in terms of the ownership we're getting, 28% exposure in the flex for Nico. Actually, under at captain, too. I like Nico more than the sim does, but certainly the sim, I'll be defaulting to that when I actually put my lineups in. I like Nico. I think he's played well. Davis Mills is clearly locked in on him in a way that it seems like week to week CJ Stroud was not. So I think that's a positive for Nico in a spot, too, where people are going to play Buffalo having the lead. I think Nico should make sense there. But I think really for the rest of these guys, like, Higgins has spiked occasionally. Hutchinson spiked occasionally. Kirk has not really spiked at all, but he's out there and theoretically a little bit underpriced with Higgins and Hutchinson being more expensive. But I really don't like those guys. I think if I were to take a secondary receiver from Houston, it'd probably be Schultz because he's at least getting 6, almost 7 targets a game. Nico's at 9 a game. Everybody else on the team is like 5, 4 or less. So I think it's kind of the same thing as the Bills, where like we have our pecking order, but a little bit stronger. Where if he gets a Nico, great. If he gets a Schultz and you can't get to Nico, I think that's fine. These other guys, though, really I have no feel for them. I think they're all just kind of okay. Kirk should be better than he is. He just might be dust at this point.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say, though, is that it does appear that potentially Jaden Higgins could be in line for just a bigger role. And I don't know how much, like I think Jalen Noel is actually decent, but apparently I'm the only one that thinks that. Like he can make big plays. He's just not out there nearly as much. Like they're using Jaden Higgins more. They're using Hutchinson more. Kirk's out there more. Jalen Noel's kind of the odd man out in the situation like this. And it's just a tough overall matchup, man. Again, I hate to straddle the fence here, but this is just like a spray and pray thing outside of Nico Collins. And if this was a main slate, I would not have much Nico Collins at all in a spot like this against a very good defense team that has only allowed 140+ yard passing play all season long. Like Buffalo does take away those big explosive plays. They get pressure on a quarterback. Nico Collins on a main slate, I don't think I'd be all that interested in him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, I don't really feel like I've played a lot of Nico this year, and I know he has spiked a few times for tournament winning upside, so like I don't want to poo-poo him that much, but I think his numbers honestly are starting to round into more form with Davis Mills at QB. I really have no issue chasing that because it seems like the role has kind of been, Stroud has played his best, I think, being a little more target agnostic. Like the week that Nico was out, felt like that was one of the better visual games he's had this year, and I think the offense ran a little bit better for it. But Davis Mills just locks on Nico, gets some targets. I think that he's a clear number one. And I think for the rest of the guys, like Higgins and Hutchinson are getting more snaps than Kirk and Noel. Kirk and Noel splitting that slot role. Hutchinson and Higgins are getting outside as your number 2 receiver a little bit more. But I'm with you. I think like none of these guys are special plays. None of them is really distancing themselves in terms of snap share or target share. It's just kind of Nico, Schultz, and then the rest of these guys in one poo-poo platter of options that you could choose from, and maybe one of them will hit.
The defenses to me, though, like the defenses and the kickers today, to me, seem extraordinarily viable. I know you're not getting big discounts because you got 2 good defenses. You got a backup quarterback in Mills, who, by the way, is not all that bad. I mean, he's fine. He's not good, but he's fine. He's been terrible under pressure, but he's fine. To wrap it up with this, though, Spags, I mean, I just think if you're going into a slate like this, and, Jim sent us that lineup, which ended up simming out perfectly fine. I think it was unique enough because it was a Josh Allen captain, but a 4-2 Texans with Jalen Nolan there, getting a little unique. But if I'm coming into a spot like this and, you're building lineups out, you're using the single lineup sim or whatever, you're looking in the sims itself, you have to, at the very least, say, all right, there's a lot of these like 4K receivers, high 3K pass catchers and players like this at $4,200, $4,600 Higgins. The Bills defense is 4,600. The Texans defense is 4,400. Fairbairn is 5K. Prater's 5,200. These guys have to be in the picture today because while the total itself may not, it's actually, was it you that mentioned it earlier that it's a little higher than you expected it to be?
Yeah, for the Bills side especially, yeah.
For the Bills side, sure. 43.5 point total is still pretty low. This could turn into like kind of a stagnant in between the 20s type game. And if so, both defenses, both kickers, of course, not all in the same lineup, but could be very viable today. Very.
Yeah, I think the Texans stand out to me, 12% ownership. And I talked about a lot in the showdowns that I think Lofty and I have kind of debated on live before lock shows and strategy shows. Like, I like playing defense more when nobody's going to play defense in a game. When it's like that Cardinals-Cowboys game, both defenses hit in that one. It's like, okay. I mean, I was playing one defense in a lot of lineups. You ended up needing 2. That's sort of how that happens a lot, where people play the shootout. But even if a game scores a lot of points or enough points, the teams kind of still can create sacks, can create a touchdown, something like that. For this spot, I think people are going to play the Bills defense more than enough. They look like they're going to have about 25% ownership in the flex. The Texans at half that, going against Josh Allen, who's got a 2% interception rate. Texans defense is limiting catchable balls. They're not deflecting as many passes as I would like because pass deflections lead to picks. An 8% pass deflection rate is league average. But they're intercepting the ball a little bit above league average. They are covering well, and Josh Allen is throwing some amount of picks. 2% interception rate is under league average, but it is not a good mark for a QB necessarily. So I think for me, just playing the Texans D a little bit more, playing against Josh Allen after the monster day he had, even if he's still in the lineup, and just trying to capture one pick six ideally, but maybe some sacks. Like Lofty mentioned, the pressure is not bad by the Texans D. I think the Texans D is like under-owned. Bills D to me seems appropriately owned. Kickers also, I think, seem appropriately owned. Prater's going to be pretty chalky for the Buffalo side.
I think so. I think he should be, really. I mean, I think he should be. Brian Tucker, can you extend the show? Work is extremely boring today. Unfortunately not. I have a little Thanksgiving luncheon to get to for my girls. So that is up next. You can find Spags at Splash Play Pod here on YouTube, at Chris Spags on Twitter. Check out all of his work. Spag, anything else before we get out of here from this slate? I think we hit on a lot of the key stuff, at least early in the morning, that's going to be important. Aside from that, I think there is a lot of spray and pray that might just need to happen with pass catchers today.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, you're trying to build lineups that can fit your primary options if you can, like Shakir, bounce back day. I do like that. Nico's been an obvious top target for the Texans. But besides those guys that, have sort of roles that we expect to be there, it is really just spreading ownership around. Like, I think the ownership's going to be kept in check by the fact there isn't really good secondary options people are going to have a lot of confidence in. And, just being mindful of just not playing only Shavers, not playing only whatever Texans player that's spiked recently besides Nico. That's probably the move, is just being willing to diversify a little bit more. And, and I would say don't sleep on Texans D. I really think they seem under-owned for Josh Allen and a real potential letdown spot, I think, after that one on Sunday.
Agreed. Ryan, will the tools take Coleman out? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously discretionary, but I think we probably will end up taking him out. Thank you, Steven. Mr. Wipeout, the Thursday Night Football video should be up. If it's not up already, over on the OddsShopper channel, the perfect lineup will be up. I'll record that right when I get home around 12:30. Come check out Spag stuff. Dude's doing awesome work. And we love having him here on the Stokastic channel as well. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. We'll see you over there on Tails. We'll see you back here tonight for Live Before Lock. Bye-bye.